The officers involved in the Randy Cox case will appear in court later today. Lindsay Kane is going to join us with all the details.
Also, gunned down on the job, a journalist killed along with a 9-year-old girl. The journalist was reporting on a deadly shooting. We'll tell you where it happened and what we know about the suspect.
All local, all morning. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good Thursday morning. Thanks so much for being with us here at Fox 61. Starting off your day here, I'm Erica Arias.
And I'm Tim Lammers. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here on Fox 61, Connecticut's news station. And we are talking about the weather. There's some slick conditions out there in some spots of the state. And there are some delayed school openings and delayed business openings as well.
Yeah, you can get all that on our website. We're turning things over to Matt Scott right now. A lot to talk about with this.
Yeah,
race.
and we kind of saw this coming. There are numerous delays at the bottom of your screen right now. That list will always be running. Of course, it is, as Tim mentioned, at fox61.com. But here's what you need to know as you head out the door this morning. Wet roads for most of the state. I took it easy coming in from the shoreline. Temperatures were above freezing for the whole trip. In the hills, it's a different story, and that's where we're focusing on now. And later, there may be some freezing drizzle thanks to slightly dropping temperatures. The radar is lighting up, but it is, thankfully, as we put the loop in motion, mostly green. That said, we're looking at the Litchfield Hills and the hill towns of Tolland and Windham County, and I focused on this because it's mainly along 84. 84 reporting no issues. We'll double check that with Lauren in a moment. But off to the east of Union, approaching Putnam and Pomfret, those hill towns, those windy roads, always an issue, so be mindful out there. This is going to stay for the next hour or two. We get a break, but I want you to watch the close-up radar later on. It keeps some, isolated freezing drizzle in there, so you need to be mindful of this all day long. Temperatures at 32 in Torrington, Waterbury, everybody else above freezing, even if it's by a degree in Norwich Town. Temperatures go the wrong way today, though, and so that's why we have to keep the ice potential in there. Little, but it's out there, so be careful. We'll talk about that, have a look at how it all impacts the weekend coming up. Right now, let's check those roads and how are the highways and byways doing, Lauren Zenzi?
Yeah, Matt, for the most part, things are actually looking pretty good out there. But as Rachel was saying, and as you were saying in your latest forecast, when the rain is falling in some of the areas, especially those hill towns, the water is freezing on contact when it hits the roadway. So be mindful of that. Be very careful. We'll check in with Brooke in just a moment. But for us around the capital city, things are looking great. 91 moving smooth. I-84 eastbound looking great this morning. A little bit slower than speed limit, but that's okay. No incidents or crashes to report. Route 2 is moving smooth. Taking a live look out in Tolland, this is one of the areas of concern where that water may be hitting the roadways and potentially getting some freezing in the areas of bridges and underpasses, overpasses, on and off ramps. So just be careful if you are heading in one of the northern corners of the state. In the New Haven area, 91 and 95 looking good in both directions. And then as we move things down into Fairfield County, we are starting to see that heavier volume on the southbound side of I-95. The Merritt Parkway is not looking too bad. Now, like I was saying, some of the areas in the northwest and the northeast corners could have some slippery spots out on the road. So let's turn things over to Brooke Griffin. She is live up in North Canaan right now out in the storm tracker. Brooke, what are you seeing right now?
Well, right now we are still seeing that wintry mix as kind of a big thing. We are in North Canaan at the moment, and it is about 34 degrees. So it's really going back and forth between rain and actually getting that wintry mix. Now, this is what we're seeing here. You can kind of tell that there is some snow down on the sides of the road here. It is a little bit slick on the road itself. We have seen a lot of salt trucks out, a lot of people already working on the roads and the parking lots. There is a little bit of rain that is freezing onto the trees. Here is not a great example of it just because there is not as much of that, but you can see some of that precipitation down on the side of the roads. Again, this is North Canaan. We are trying to make our way over to the Norfolk area at this time. But again, if you are taking it slow, right now it should be fine. Again, it is 34 degrees according to the dashboard here. We've seen it go down as low as 32, but it's really not dipping any further than that. Again, we started in Hartford about 2 hours ago, so we are still seeing a lot of those slick spots, but it is not something that's not necessarily unmanageable. Just go really slow and give yourself some extra time if you are in the northwest corner of the state. Back to you guys.
All right, Brooke, stay safe out there, and thanks so much. We will check back.
And remember, you can use the Fox 61 News app to stay up to date, to take a look at that radar. Really helpful on a day like today, where you can see that it's only rain on like the I-91 corridor in that Connecticut River Valley, but icy mixes up in the hills. If you don't have the app, use the smartphone, that QR code, I should say, and use your smartphone to scan it right now. That'll take you right to the download link.
6:05 this morning, 5 New Haven police officers charged in connection with injuries to Richard Randy Cox are set to appear in court this morning.
Yeah, all 5 officers previously pleaded not guilty. Fox 61's Lindsay Kane is live in New Haven with the details. Lindsay, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Well, this pre-trial hearing this morning is a remote hearing, so all 5 officers will appear remotely. Now, this is their 3rd court session since they were first arrested back in November. And just last month, all 5 New Haven police officers pleaded not guilty to the charges against them. Officers Oscar Diaz, Jocelyn Lavendier, Ronald Presley, Louis Rivera, and Sergeant Betsy Siege are charged with 2nd-degree reckless endangerment and cruelty to persons. Now, both charges are misdemeanors, which Randy Cox's attorney and family has criticized. Cox is paralyzed from the chest down after being injured in the back of a police van back in June, in custody for a weapons charge. That's when the officer driving, Officer Diaz, allegedly slammed on the brakes to avoid a crash. Cox's hands were behind his back with no seatbelt, and he flew forward. His neck was broken. His attorney says he's still unable to do anything for himself with that injury. The Cox family also filed a lawsuit against the city of New Haven seeking $100 million. That virtual hearing is set for 10 o'clock this morning. Now, all 5 officers remain free on bail, and all 5 officers remain on paid administrative leave. So we'll continue to bring you the updates on this hearing once we learn more on the Fox 61 News. Live in New Haven, Lindsay Kane, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Lindsay, thanks so much for the update. We'll check back. And sad and a scary story now, especially for folks in the news business. 2 people are dead, 2 others were injured in a shooting in Orlando. A journalist from Spectrum 13 in Orlando and a 9-year-old girl were shot and killed. Another TV crew member was also shot along with the little girl's mother. Both are in the hospital recovering from their injuries this morning. Police say it happened near the scene of a separate homicide incident yesterday morning. The news crew was there covering that deadly shooting when they were shot. Police did arrest a 19-year-old suspect who they believe is responsible for both shootings.
He has a lengthy criminal history to include gun charges, aggravated battery and assault with a deadly weapon, burglary, and grand theft charges.
According to reports, the journalist has been identified as 24-year-old Lyndon Lyons.
Attorney General William Tong is expected to make an announcement today about Stone Academy, which closed its 3 campuses in East Hartford, Waterbury, and West Haven last week. Students have been left in the lurch since then. And the state has said there were concerns over Stone's license exam passing rates, teacher qualifications, and clinical training. Well, Sharon Hospital is facing criticism for a plan to close its intensive care unit and instead offer critical care elsewhere in the hospital. State officials held a 2nd day of virtual hearings about the hospital's plan to consolidate its emergency services to save money. Sharon Hospital said all rural hospitals are facing tough economic times and that the hospital could be forced to close entirely if officials don't act now.
We can't keep losing $20 or $25 million a year. So we are trying to reshape the services in a responsible way.
Now, Connecticut's senators and Congresswoman Jahana Hayes all wrote a letter to the state asking it to reject Sharon Hospital's plan. A spokesperson said the hospital will continue offering its same level of critical care services.